Overlord is part war movie and part horror movie, and all a lot of fun. Directed by Julius Avery and produced by J.J. Abrams. And honestly, if you've seen the trailer and have any interest in it, like, this will deliver on everything it was promising. I loved it.
3 months ago, I was cutting grass in my front yard. And the mailman shows up with a letter from the army. Now I'm here. No idea where I'm gonna end up.
So to start off, this was initially rumored to be another Cloverfield film. Like, you know, I don't know if they got scared off because of how bad Cloverfield Paradox was, or if this just didn't really fit. But, you know, this instead is just produced by a J.J. Abrams film. And I loved it. And I was hoping it'd be good. Like, going into it, I heard good things, and I liked the trailers. And it surpassed every expectation I had for it. Like, I mean, it starts off like this awesome scene. Well, first off, you know, they're a bunch of soldiers, and they're going over to France, and it's during World War II. It's right before the Normandy invasion. And essentially, they're part of a team that has to go in there, get to this church that's hosting, like, you know, that's the command center, and they have to take it out so that our planes can provide cover for the ships while they're landing on Normandy Beach. And they're in this guy, and you get, you know, the whole soldiery thing, the banter with the soldiers, and they're setting up all the different characters and doing what they need to do. And, you know, it's well done, but you're like, okay, what are you going to do here? And then they have this scene where, well, like, the plane's kind of, being fired upon, and your main character, Jovan Adepo, he has to, you know, jump off the plane and parachute in, and how it follows him, it's like you're kind of, like, they're putting you in there. Like, it's not first person, but, like, the camera's kind of solely focusing on him, and, like, he's spinning around trying to get his parachute open, and it's absolutely thrilling. And then when he lands in the forests of France, and he has to try to find any surviving members of his team, and he has to try to, you know, get to this town and invade this church and try to blow it up. And they do so much, you know, there's a couple of the characters, but the other kind of main soldier is Wyatt Russell, and Kurt Russell's son. And I really like his character too. Those are the two kind of main characters. And then they also have Mathilde Olivier, who plays, like, a badass woman that's a French woman, and she, like, is kind of like, they kind of catch her, and they you know, she hates the Germans too, and they kind of want to use her to help them infiltrate the town and the church. And then there's all the soldier stuff is really good. It reminds me a bit of, like, Inglourious Bastards. And then at a certain point, they get in the church, and guess what? The Nazis are doing really weird experiments down there, and it turns into, like, a body horror film. And they do that really well too. It's like they go from war movie to horror to body horror, perfectly. And it works too, but it's like the way, I mean, they don't spend too much time on like how they're doing it, but essentially they're doing stuff to kind of like almost like eternal life, but it has some side effects, and like the way they do it, like, there's some scenes, I don't want to spoil it, but like when they he sees some stuff going on, and he steals one of the cylinders of stuff, and the results are crazy. And I love the character development too. Like, it'd be so easy to just have something simple, but the way stuff develops, you know, this guy, Jovan Adepo, he is kind of, his character is like almost like a pacifist. You know, he was drafted for the war, and he's over here, but like when he has to not be a pacifist anymore, it's brutal, and it really works for his character and gives like an evolution to him. And of course, being a World War II movie, there are Nazis, and the main Nazi is like the captain or whatever he is. It's played by Pilou Asbæk as Wassner, and he does really well with the whole Nazi character. And he also, other stuff develops with him too, and they have a lot of stuff goes on. But when the shit hits the fan, you have some crazy horror stuff, and you have some crazy boss fights. It's almost like this reminded me of like a video game movie. Like it's not a video game movie, like almost like a video game. Like except there's no video game it's based on. But I mean, there's so many cool things it does, and they have a mix of practical and digital effects, and for most part, it's excellent. Like, I mean, there's some brutal stuff, and there's really creative use of different props and different things, and that it's like people that go through changes, and when they do it, it's brutal and really effective. I will say though that if you're squeamish, like this may not be the movie for you. It is violent, and when it becomes the war violence is brutal. Like it's really kind of thrilling, like you get Nazis being their heads blown off, and it works really well, because who doesn't like seeing Nazis have their heads getting blown off? And there's also a lot of stuff, with the horror, like especially the body horror and the different things it does. I mean, there's nothing that like surprising about it. Like, I knew for the most part where it was going, but I loved every minute of it. Like, this is honestly might be one of my favorite films of the year. Like, I'll have to see it again, but I think it might be squeezing into my top 10. Like, I loved everything about it. Like, I'd probably give it like a 9.5 out of 10. Like, I mean, I would highly recommend it. If you like war films, if you like horror films, there's a lot to offer here with Overlord. So thanks for watching. You can check out other playlists on my head, or subscribe to me on that Z over there. Thanks.